All right, guys, here we are, another episode of the Gospel of Fire. And man, I was talking last time I was in New York at Henzo's. I was talking to Rob Constance, and we were talking about like there's three distinctions. There's OGs, and then I guess just G's at the Renzo Gracie Academy. And I got one of the OOs today, Jamal Patterson. What up, man?
What's going on, man? It's good. It's good. Talking to you. I see you've been doing your thing on the podcast, and actually, just in everything you're involved in. I'm super proud of you. I remember when you came in, I think you might have been a blue or purple belt, and
yeah.
And then to see you kind of go from there, you did well grappling, you fought professionally, and now you're running your schools, doing a great job. You have a bunch of fighters, and, students, and I'm proud of you, man. It's good to see somebody come from blue belt in jiu-jitsu, coming to check out New York City, to now running a nice business, and have a bunch of fighters and people that look up to you.
Yeah, man, it's cool, man. I had that time when I was trying to come at that time at least once a month, especially while I was competing in jiu-jitsu. And I don't know, that time was really good for me, like coming to New York and training with all you guys. It's the Mecca, right? It's always been Mecca. And
of course, still is.
Still is. Oh yeah, it still is. I made a post about it the other day, like the room that I have a no-gi class. And I was like, look, on any given night, I'll put this room up against any room. I was like, and I'm not saying like a collection of the superstars of every academy, like, of course, like mine's just a regular room, like, but the guys are really tough. I was like, the only room I won't put it up against is the blue basement, right? Like, because that place is, like that's what everyone's shooting for.
Were you there during the above the papaya hot dog? You didn't get there to the blue basement. Were you there?
No. I was the first time when I first started coming. It was 2001. So I was a blue belt, and it was above the methadone clinic.
Okay, so that really solidifies you as an OG. If you
that's the delineator. Yeah, if you had to ride the elevator up with the meth addicts, now you get to be OG status, right? Like,
I remember that. I remember the elevator would be out, and I would have to go up the steps, and rats and mice would be running through the steps. And
I had a couple of them too, man. Like, it wasn't all the time that I had, like, most of the time the elevator was working for me because I didn't live in New York. But fuck, man. Yeah. Like, you're just like, oh my God, I'm going to die. The jiu-jitsu mat is the safe part here.
There's nothing more, I guess, there's no feeling that's different than going up an elevator with prostitutes that have HIV positive and have needles in their hands.
Yeah. That's when you love it, right? Like, if that's what you're willing to do to get some jiu-jitsu in.
And then you wonder why Henzo didn't have a kids program at that program.
Right? Yeah, I wonder why. That's a fucking shocker. But man, what was it like, man, to look? I didn't get to spend a lot of time with Renzo. I only got to spend like these sporadic times, and he treats me like gold. Like absolute gold. And at the same time, he's able to be very like hard on you, like as you're coming up. Like, not anymore, right? Like we're older, like we're in the golden ages of jiu-jitsu for us now. But while coming up, man, like, he has this effect on everyone's life that he touches. What was that like for you?
Henzo's an anomaly, man. It's like you don't meet many people like him. Henzo will smile. He's always happy. But I never, I always had that feeling like I could never let that guy down, and he was very good at, like, if you doubted yourself or were, maybe not wanting to go against someone or thinking about it, he'd be like, well, my man, I'll fight him in a bathroom. You know what I mean? And I remember one of my first MMA fights, I was like terrified. I was going to die. I was hoping the building fell down,
Yeah.
And Henzo looks at me and he's like, my man, you've taken shits longer than this fight. and it worked. It calmed me down.
He's just, you can't explain him. Like, I remember one of my fighters, Corey Sandhagen, had a fight in Brooklyn, and we were staying in Manhattan. And our wrestling coach, NCAA national champ, Dave Zabriskie, he's the wrestling coach for our fight team. And, you know, I was trying to explain Renzo to him. And it's like, you just can't do it. I was like, man, I'm going up today, you know, and he teaches on Saturdays. Like, come with me. And he's like, and then when we left, he's like, yeah, you can't explain that. Like, there's nothing you can do.
And it's amazing. He's around so many people, and his memory to remember people is unbelievable. I remember I had a friend of mine. He's like one of my best friends, and he owns a restaurant. I think he might have met Renzo once. It was so brief, you know, in passing.
Right.
And a couple years later, Renzo ends up in his restaurant, and somehow Renzo remembers the guy and is like, "My man, you're Jamal's friend," you know. And I'm like, How does this guy have a memory like this, and you know, can pull back information like that?
Yeah, it's not like me and you, right? Like, we're just, you know, for the most part, regular dudes. Everyone wants to meet Renzo. Like, you gotta understand, like, the sheikh of the UAE is fucking calling Renzo to come see him. And Renzo's remembering your friend in a 5-minute passing conversation a year later.
Yeah, in a restaurant in Morristown, New Jersey. You know?
Yeah. Not even in the same context, right? Like, yeah. So the guy is amazing. Like, there's not many people. Like, there's very few people who I go in my life. I don't know. You tell me. I'm like, man, that's who I want to be like. Like, I like to take like pieces of them. Renzo, I'll take all of it.
Yeah, exactly. You know, I've been lucky, I think, throughout my life to be around some like great leaders, you know, because I was an athlete my whole life. And, you know, my football coach was an unbelievable man. And then I wrestled in high school, Blair Academy, like Jeff Buxton was an unbelievable coach. And then I had Renzo. I've just been super blessed my whole life to have like coaches, and not only coaches, but they're just unbelievable leaders, you know. And I try to sometimes when I'm, you know, leading my team or working with my students, I sometimes try to go back and reflect on like what they thought, how they acted. You know, my football coach in college always took blame for everything. It was anything he did. If we lost a game, if, you know, we fumbled the ball, it was always his fault. You know what I mean? And it was something I never, ever forget. You know what I mean? Because he was always like, at the end of the day, it lies on me. And Renzo as well. Like, Renzo's the kind of guy that, you know, he has that personality where, you know, he smiles at everyone. He makes you feel like, you know, like you can conquer anything. And to be around those kind of caliber of people just really is like molded me as a person, and also just makes me super like blessed to know that I've been able to be around, you know, men like that.
Yeah, for sure. I want to get back to your athletic career in a minute.
Yeah.
What was it like? I mean, so like we said to start, like Renzo, it's the Mecca. Right. There's no place like it in the whole world. And it's from the day he got here until now, right? Like with all of like the DDS, right? Like, these guys are like, what's going on in New York? Like, I mean, I don't know about you, man. I just fucking watch the Danaher series shit and I copy it, and that's all I teach for no gi. Like, I don't do much else.
Yeah, I mean, you know, John was a genius back in the day. You know, and it's just it took the last 5 or 6 years for people to kind of realize it. You know, well, we all knew it, but then somehow one day he decides to open an Instagram account, and he becomes the man. You know?
Yeah, for sure. What was it like with all the talent for you that's been coming through Renzo's? Like, I mean, the best of the best.
You know, it was crazy. So when I got there, I was a generation right behind like Ricardo and Matt Serra and those guys. They had just kind of left, you know? Right. So at that time, you know, Rodrigo was around, but like Sean Alvarez, all of those guys, those like legendary.
Sean Alvarez. Yeah, where is Sean Alvarez right now?
I see him on Instagram, and he's got a school, I think, in Mexico or somewhere. I know he's teaching Spanish, so it's a Latin-speaking country. So I'm not really sure.
Dude, that motherfucker was a beast.
Yeah, he's half the size he is now. It's crazy.
No way. Oh my.
He's thin. He looks good, but it's like thinner. He looks, you know, healthy.
Dude.
Yeah, he's not.
Dude, I remember. Fuck, I forgot all about him till you just said it.
Yeah, but that was the generation of guys that were right before us. So
Right.
when I got there, they were there. They would pop in, and like when they came in, you'd look up to them, Ricardo Almeida, and you have to remember at that time it was like high end was coming in, and Fabio Leopoldo, and who was it? What was the guy, the Elvis guy? Nino Schembri. Yeah. And these guys would come in, and you would just like kind of sit back and watch them and be like, I hope they ask me to roll. You know,
right.
I mean?
You were their warm up round.
Exactly. Well, back then you never asked a black belt to train.
Right.
So you kind of sat there and were like, maybe they'll ask me. And they would always ask me because I came from a wrestling background prior. So at that time they were trying to like learn how to beat wrestlers and things like that. So I would always get pulled into the mix, but you literally would just sit back and watch how technical these guys were and how hard they worked, and it was just a different time. These guys were like straight killers.
Yeah. And then and then the Hajer days, right? Holy fuck, man.
Yeah, so I got lucky there. So when I moved to Brazil, so I went to Brazil in 2001, and when I was in Brazil, Hajer was a brown belt. And I remember everybody was like, yo, there's this, kid, and Hajer must have been 20 years old, right? And I was probably 28, 29. And I was a blue belt at the time, and I used to train with Hajer every single day. He would beat my fucking ass like I was a redheaded stepchild. And he would mount me. I would get out of the mount. He'd remount me. And it was just every day. It got so bad. I was like, I don't know if this guy even likes me,
Right. Yeah.
and then Hajer became Hajer. And then, I was lucky enough to be super close with them. And then, there was one Abu Dhabi that I did, and we were trained the whole time together. And it was just a great experience to be able to be around like one of the greatest grapplers of all time.
Yeah. I was there for that camp. I came a lot during that camp. When you
were around a lot. Yeah.
During that camp, I came because it was amazing.
And they were bigger guys too, and you're a big guy, so
because you both were in. Right. So you got right. So it was like, okay, where are you going to train? Like,
did you go that year?
No, man. This last year was the first year I ever got in.
Really? Because that year, remember that year was the biggest bullshit ever. I remember having to wrestle off guys in my academy, having to go to Canada to train, then had to come back and then go to Abu Dhabi, make it to a qualifier, didn't get to the tournament, and then they were pulling guys out of the stands in my weight class and throwing them in there, and I was like, what the hell's going on here?
I remember that. Your first match, you fucked that dude up, right? They pulled him in the day before, right?
Yeah, I think it was Travis View. Yeah, they pulled him right in.
Yeah,
and it was a bunch like Justin
Garcia did that year.
Justin Garcia got in, and so did Rick McCauley. A bunch of guys got in, like just off of like, we need bodies. And I'm like, I can't believe I tracked my ass through Canada, had to do a wrestle off against one of my friends. I mean, these guys were getting called in that day.
I did the trials that year. We were in Canada together. I lost to Vera in the semifinals. And that's
and then I beat Vera.
You beat Vera. You did your Armin guillotine thing. That shit don't work.
That shit doesn't work anymore. Everyone knows the escape to that now.
Yeah, you were the first one to show it though, homie.
Yeah.
But dude, I remember during that camp, there was one training session where I was Hajer's warm-up round, and then we all trained for 45 minutes straight. And the first round, like I was his warm-up round, it went okay for me. I didn't do poorly. And I was like, oh, damn, that wasn't that bad. All right. I was like, all proud of myself. And then Hajer was like, hey, one more round. Because I knew he probably knew what I was thinking, right? Because he had already won the worlds and, he's the fucking man. And dude, holy fuck. He mounted me and he armbarred me 14 fucking times. 14 times. And then I go sit next to you on the wall. Like I'm just disheveled, like I'm broken. Like I literally, like I probably, I think I might have rather gotten raped. And you look at me and, and I had just gotten there. Like I wasn't there yesterday. It was the first day of my week. And you look at me and go, it's cool, man. He did that to me yesterday.
I remember Hajer mounting me, and he had my face, my chin, in his face, my shoulders like gonna dislocate, and like I literally give him an arm bar, right?
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden, out of the corner, I hear Renzo go, "Hey, motherfucker, you let him get that. You let him get that."
Yeah, man. Dude, we had the same experience. Renzo yelled at me too. And I'm like, Renzo, it's the 13th armbar. Like, I can't fucking defend this anymore. Like,
the worst with Hodger was Hodger would mount you, and I would do everything I could, and I'd work my way out of the mount, get out, and then he'd mount me again. Like, I can't do this again, bro. I'm done. Just take the arm.
Fuck, man. You know, so like that was an experience. Like, look, I'm super lucky, and like you were part of the crew that let me in, right? Because, dude, like it was such a great experience. Like Renzo's is home for me too, you know, and like. So like a little gratitude for me to you, you know, because we were the same way. We were coming up in the same generation. You guys really accepted me during that time, you know. So that was that you don't, you know, and people got to understand back in that day, like there wasn't really accepting of like outsiders. Like
and you were the guy too. I remember like, you know, when people came in from outside, we would kick the shit out of them, you know. And then you came in, and I'm like, God damn, this fucking kid is good. Like, I gotta like really freaking work to get, you know, to get anything off. And I might have been, I would think I was a belt above you, maybe.
You
right?
were a little ahead of me the whole time. Yep.
Yeah. And I'm like, God damn, this kid Eliot's coming in. I'm like, I'd see you walk in. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna have to freaking work today. Like, you know, Eliot's gonna be throwing triangles up. You had a really good guard, and that was a freaking nightmare for sure.
But, you know, but again, like normally it's just kick the shit out of somebody and then that's it. But you guys were like, we'd go out to dinner, we'd grab some food and all that kind of stuff. So that was always like, that made it feel more like home, right? Because that's what you want, right? Like when you train, like you don't want to just go to war all the time. You want to build friendship, you know, and build like.
Yeah. You know, and that's what people like don't understand, and I talk about it all the time to my students, you know, and you know this because you've been doing it for a while. You've been in the same team for a long time, and you know, I see guys jump in teams, and I don't want to be the person that's like hating on people trying to get better. But the one thing that I always will say is, you know, yes, I learned chokes, I learned submissions, I learned positions, but what I got most out of jiu-jitsu was relationships with people, and things that I would never ever have. People I would have never met, people I would have never talked to, and these are like lifelong friends. Like for you, for example, how many years later is this? I know to go to Colorado, nothing changes. You know what I mean? And it's like we'll be sitting in that mat, making fun of each other, having a good time, and we connect through jiu-jitsu. You know?
Yeah. Like, dude, man, come on. Like the last time I was there, bro. You know, Black Rob just sits in that fucking chair all day. You know? He don't fucking move. You know. But like because of the relationships that we built, I was like, "Hey man, I'm gonna go to lunch." He was like, "Yo, you want to go somewhere good?" And I was like, "Oh fuck yeah!" Like you know, so that kind of stuff is just it's so much more than the chokes and the arm bars. But that comes from like a lifetime of loyalty to one team, right? To one team, to a family, no matter what.
And you know, I'm with you on that, and I think I made comments to you about, you know, things that we see, and like you've written stuff, I've written stuff, and you're right. You know, listen, it's, you know, families are going to have issues. Families are going to have fights. Same way I have fights with my family, but at the end of the day, we're still a family, and you know, you don't change your fucking family no matter what. I don't care what anyone says. I'm a little old school on that, but you know, there's some certain situations that, you know, a person moves and things like that. I get that, but like at the end of the day, your family's your family.
Yeah, man. Like, I don't know. Like once, especially like, look, I get you're a white belt, right? You're a white belt, you move. Yeah, okay, you're going to go join another team, right? Maybe blue belt still. Totally understandable. But fuck, if I give you a purple belt and you come back from another school with a brown belt, fuck off.
Yeah, no, listen, trust me.
Fuck off.
But, you know, things change, and like we're living a different era now, man. The internet is a crazy thing, and people's, you know, the posting on the internet, the crap talking, and people have become a little bit more about themselves and what they can do to further themselves. And a lot of it, I don't even know if people are going to realize it until they're older. You know what I mean? That's what really sucks is you're in your mid-20s, you're early, and you're using all of this, the internet to troll and, you know, try to build yourself up. And then all of a sudden when you're like 30 years old or 40 years old, you're like, damn, like what, I missed out on a whole bunch of guys that I could have been really close with. And there's a real quick story is I remember remember the Loft in Gracie, Baja? It was a restaurant outside.
Yep.
I remember I was with with Gordino, and we're walking to go eat, and it was all the Gracie Baja guys. There was a grappler who was like a world champ. I'm not going to mention his name, who was sitting there by himself with somebody else. And this was a guy who had like started. That's when Norbignon and all that shit started. Remember, they separated, and he was kind of doing his own thing. And I remember Gordino saying, "Look, I'm eating with my friends. He's sitting there eating alone, you know." And I never forget that.
Because for a reason, you know, there's been a couple world champions exactly that have come through and have been absolute cocksuckers along the way, right? Like and like the day that you're not the best in the world, no matter how good you are, it's coming for you where you're not going to be. Right?
Exactly.
That's coming. Hodger's going to get old, right? Like he's going to get old.
But Hodger still has his family.
Hodger has everything. He still
has his family.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the point, right? That's the point. Like,
and
go ahead.
You've been in the game for a while, right? And so have I. So you see it now. Like we're sitting here having a conversation, right? How many guys were there that you know in your time of training jump from team to team to team that you would never even give a call and be like, hey, jump on my podcast. Just even though they might have some good information, even though they might have a great career, it's like, you know, I don't want to talk to the guy.
I won't do it. Like there's plenty of people that I could have, especially like in the jiu-jitsu world, the MMA world, right? Where I could call them, they could come on, they would do it. But I won't do it because it's not the message that I think that needs to be spread. You know, the message is unity. The message is there's no such thing as a self-made man. I don't believe in that, right? Like somebody brought you up, you know, and a lot of luck went into it.
Yeah, you know, I had a fighter who left, you know, and I remember they said something to me. One of them, like, you know, listen, you know, at the end of the day, it's just them in the ring. And I was like, yeah, it's just them in the ring. I'm like, you forget all the people that you had to train with that had to get you better, that had to do this. Like when you step in that ring, it's not just you. You're bringing in all your freaking training partners, all your coaches, everything that you did to get there, that's what you're bringing into the ring. And when I heard that, it just disgusted me.
Yeah. It's fuck, man. It's so hard for people to see that. You know, but with age that comes, you know, with age that comes.
Of course.
Look, we were lucky. In my opinion, I was so lucky to have Amal who influenced me and was able to get me around all kinds of people. So that spread that really close knowledge.
But Amal was one of those guys, though. You know, Amal was super loyal to Renzo. He was always around. He always came. You know, he was always part of the crew. Even though Amal was in Colorado, Amal was one of us. You know what I mean? It wasn't like you didn't see him all over the place. It was just, you know, he was part of our team, and that's just the way it was. You know, he just happened to live in Colorado. And, you know, I looked up and Amal was one of the first guys to really take jiu-jitsu and kind of make it a business, you know what I mean, and make people, I guess, grow the sport. Because, you know, the thing that really was a shitty thing when we came up, there was a lot of people that walked into our room that never had the opportunity to gain anything from jiu-jitsu because guys like me and you beat the fucking shit out of them and then they quit the next day. You know what I mean? Where you know, guys like Kamal started coming in, he started making it a school, an academy, the same way Renzo and everyone else does now, where it gives guys that maybe didn't have any confidence, that weren't super athletic, but now all of a sudden they gain all of this technique, this knowledge, and they become part of a team for the first time. And like, you know, yeah, maybe it takes me and you 5 or 6 years to get a black belt. It might take them 12 years to get a black belt, but at that 12 years, we're all at the same place. You know?
Yes, that's a great way to put it. And fuck, man, like now, dude, we have, you know, with, you know, Amal and I together, we're business partners. We, you know, it's crazy. We have 84 black belts. No, 90. I'm sorry, 92. We just gave out 8. It was a really cool thing. Like, yeah, and it's because of that.
I think I'm at.
Go ahead.
I said I was like, that's crazy. I think I'm at like 19 or 20, but 84. That's crazy. That's so many. That's awesome, though. You know.
Yeah.
Like think about when we first started. If you were a purple belt, that was a big deal.
You were a killer. You were a killer, right? You were a killer at purple belt.
Yeah,
man. When I started, Amal was a purple belt. But like back to your point, like that's what he did. He made it. like, and we've grown it since then. And it's one of the things I'm most proud of is, you know, you have these fucking, I know Joe Rogan puts it best, these nerd assassins, right? Like these kids, these guys that are dorks. You know,
that's the Danaher Death Squad. Like,
oh my God!
Sorry. Listen, you know, Gordon is a fucking beast, amazing athlete, but like, he's not socially the most like outgoing. No, man.
Everyone thinks like that. How he is on social media. Why don't you show up at the fucking basement and try to get a conversation out of him?
It's not going to happen.
No, he's going to sit on the wall.
Yeah. You know, I've known Gordon since he was probably 17, 18 years old. I respect the kid more than anything. I think I've been high. What's going on? How are you? And that's it. You know what I mean?
Right. But you don't see him do it with anybody else either. It's not like he's like doesn't like you, right? Like it's not like he's like fuck Jamal.
I don't get offended by it at all. But
no,
you know, that's the way it is.
Yeah, all of them, right? They all just sit there. Gary, all right? They're all quiet and dorks. You know, and then they're killers.
Gary's got some personality. Gary is a pretty funny kid. You know, he's got a little bit more personality. He's there. But I was going back to the Gordon thing. You know, he's like Gordon's ability to troll people on the internet is at a level of like. So every once in a while, I'll see him post something. And I'm a guy who likes to joke all the time, right. You know? And I'll be like, let me put it, and I'll like write something and like want to joke on it. And I'm like, hold on a second. Like, this kid takes it the wrong way. He might find a picture of me from like 5th grade when I was getting pinned by someone and put it all over the internet. So I'll just be like, I'm not going to even joke. I'm just going to keep it at that.
Dude, his grappling ability is unreal, huh? Fuck.
Yeah, I've never seen anybody. I mean, I wasn't really, you know, he kind of came up when I was not in the academy as much, so right. I didn't really get to see. Well, that's not true. So he was down in South Jersey, and I would see him in South Jersey, and he was an insanely talented kid, you know. And then he just kind of shifted that shit into overdrive when he started going into the city, and I wasn't there for that, but. You know, that kid's got a special gift. I've never seen anything like that. I mean, the kid can do everything from every position, and you know, from top, bottom, leg lock. He's just a different level, and it's awesome to see. You know, he's basically the Michael Jordan of the sport right now.
Yeah. You know, I wish the Brazilians would fight him. Like you know, you see him kind of run from him a lot, or just not have a match with him, like. And you're like, dude, come on. Like, I really wish Buchecha would have gone after him.
Yeah, I mean, Buchecha just, you know, he did the best he could not to get scored on, you know what I mean? He just sat down and hand fought him. But, I mean, that happened to Hodger, too. If you remember, that happened with Hodger. Guys were trying to stall Hodger out. They would try to, if you remember, I remember like Jacare would try to run from him and then like try to take him down and get a quick, you know, couple points that way. But he was hard. I never forget that Abu Dhabi I fought in. He was going against Shanji. And I watched him literally grab Shanji. He was trying to run out of bounds, pulled him back in bounds, and submitted him.
Yeah.
And Shanji's like one of the best guys in the world.
World, yeah. Hodger's a special animal, man. You know, Hodger's like what he with his last Buchecha match a couple years ago. That solidified him as the all-time GOAT. Like there's no one's gonna get him, you know.
Yeah, especially with the gi. You know, him and Gordon. A lot of people are gonna always make that comparison, but it was two different animals, two different times. It's hard to compare. You know,
it's very hard to compare. But you know, for like I've never felt anybody like Hodger. I'll say that.
Oh, no. I would say the top guys that I went against were Hodger. You know who was probably one of the most underrated, but one of the toughest guys who freaking I felt like was just always a step ahead of me was Ricardo Almeida.
I heard Ricardo was trained with him, bro.
Ricardo was like he just had a speed and like a fluidity of him that he just would get ahead of you. And the other one was Jerry Rinaldi.
Really?
Wow, Jerry Rinaldi is one of the best guys I've ever grappled with. Jerry is a straight beast. He not only can he wrestle, he can grapple. Like he can grapple. I was super disappointed because they were trying to get him into Abu Dhabi this year.
What way?
And can you hear me?
Yeah. What weight?
I think it was at your weight class.
Ultra weight.
They were trying to get him. Yeah, they were trying to get him in, and they weren't. They just let it happen. They were just saying that he didn't. He hadn't wrestled. He hadn't done anything in a while. And I was like, Jerry can still get out there and mix it up with the guys.
Sure. Yeah. Fuck. So you came up very athletic, right? Like for you, sports was like the way you played college ball. Like, so what was that like, being like, you talked about it earlier, like such great leaders, because Blair Academy is one of the best schools in the country.
Yeah. Yeah. I didn't see, here's the crazy thing. Sports became the biggest part of my life, but I didn't play sports until I got into high school. Like, I was a kid that was from New York, and my parents were like, let me get this kid out of New York City, moved me to the middle of nowhere, New Jersey. And all of a sudden they were like, football tryouts were there. They're like, go run a 40. I ran like a 4 or 5 40, and they're like, wow, this kid can play football. So then, like they so then.
Hold on, man. Hold on. I remember Renzo was making us do sprints one day, and you were just fucking smoking us. And then you started talking shit to us, and you were like, watch this, motherfuckers. I'm going to smoke you running backwards. And then you turned around, and you smoked us. We all were running as fast as we could forward, and you smoked us running backwards. I was like, fuck you, dude.
I can't even run a sprint now. But
So anyway, back to it. Go ahead.
So, so then I was in high school, and I just, picked up sports quickly, and then they were like, wrestle. And then I was like, wrestle? What the fuck is wrestling? And I remember my first day of wrestling practice being like, these guys are touching me. I don't want to be touched. Like, what the hell am I doing? I didn't feel comfortable. I'm like, I went back home to my mom and dad. I'm almost like crying. I'm like, I can't do this. And my father's like, you ain't going to quit.
Right.
And then I remember my freshman year, I was 7 and 14. I used to be pin or be pinned. So I would either pin someone or I'd get pinned, right? I didn't even know the point system, And then my sophomore year, I think I was like over 500. And then my junior year, I ended up making to state. Senior year, I took a second, and then like I took a third in the nation. But it was just like, sports kind of like, really like changed my life, because at that point I wasn't serious about school. I wasn't serious about any of that stuff. I was just kind of hanging out, being, the kid that was just kind of screwing around. Then all of a sudden I was like, wow, I can kind of do something with this. So then I went to Blair Academy, and when I was at Blair, it was, like I was with Jeff Buxton. That guy's a legend. So I was lucky to be around him. And then, I went on and played football at Colgate. I had a great coach at Colgate, legendary guy, Dick Biddle, and went on from there. Then what happened was the UFC came out around then. That's when the UFC came out. And I remember being like, my father called me up and was like, Jamal, you could do this stuff. And I was like, yeah, but I'm playing football in college, And he was like, you could do this. And I just remember sitting there, and I watched it in the back of my head. And I'm like, I could probably do this. And then, I tried to play in NFL, didn't make it. And then when I was done, I'm sitting in Manhattan, and I'm on the freaking train. I was a corporate guy. I was working for a consulting company, and I was like getting trapped, like shuttled through streets of Manhattan. And I'm like, is this what fucking life is about, bro? Am I just going to be like every other person now? Like, I remember having that feeling of being like good at something. And now I'm just like this other guy sitting on the fucking bus, And then it took me to jiu-jitsu. And that's how I started training jiu-jitsu.
And then you still had that corporate life, right? Like let's talk about that for a sec, because it's so, God, when you're young, right? I don't care if you don't play football or not. Like you could be a star athlete, not a star athlete. It doesn't matter. You look at all these possibilities when you're a kid of like, I'm like, I got two little boys. I ask them what they're going to be when they grow up. Right. And it's here, it's there, it's all this shit, right? It's amazing to listen to. And then like you get crushed, right? Like the world comes down, and there you are. You're like, you're in corporate America. And even after you started, I remember you were dental sales, right?
Yeah. I was a medical rep. I think, it's a struggle for athletes. And I'm sure you went through this probably a little bit when you stopped competing. It's like, did I hit my pinnacle of like of what it was. Am I never going to get that feeling back? You know what I mean? And some people spiral in the wrong direction because of that, because they never get that high back. You know what I mean? They're always searching for it. And that was, and I could say that I probably had that when I was done with college. It's like, man, sports were so important to me, and now it's not there anymore, And then that's how I ended up getting into, the jiu-jitsu aspect, because I had to kind of fill that void that was in my life. And I always felt like I missed out, because I always knew that I would have been a very good college wrestler. It's just, I ended up taking the right instead of left and played football instead. And I just felt like I missed out on that combat side. And then, I jumped right into jiu-jitsu and went from there.
How did you quit your job though? Right. Because like you got a black belt and you were still in corporate America, correct? Sales?
Yeah. I mean, when I was fighting everything, I was living a double life. Yeah. And sometimes I think it helped me. I see the issue was, once you start making money, it's hard not to make money. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I wasn't going to leave my corporate. Like at that point too, you have to remember, I started fighting MMA or older. I was in my 30s when I fought. And what am I going to do? Go live in a couch with someone and try to fight? No, that's not going to happen. Like you were younger than I was, so you could do it. You were, but I was in my fucking 30s. I had, I think I just met my ex time. I was living in a nice place, at 2-car car. I'm like, I'm not going to give this all up. So I was lucky though, because I worked in an outside sales job, so I can kind of, move my schedule around and do what I had to do to, get my job done and then come in and train every day. But, sometimes I'm like, well, how good could I have been if I just did it full time? But in the same sense, I wasn't going to take that risk, because, you know how it is. I mean, how many fighters do you know, and how many of these fighters are millionaires from fighting,
It's not even that. It's at the end, most people's life doesn't go well. It's not. It's not just the money part. The money's part of it, but it's not just that. Like the crush that MMA gives you when it doesn't go well. Like there's dude, even look at George. Like George just seemed to get it back together. Right. Like we're not hearing about him talking to aliens anymore and not knowing where he was but dude, when you're hearing one of the best ever at one point, he's still one of the best ever, but at that point in his life, when he was on the Rogan fucking podcast talking about not remembering days and because he was gone with the aliens, you're like, holy fuck, man. Is that worth $10 million? If that's where it would have continued?
Yeah, and I'm sure you know this now, because you coach a lot of fighters up there, and I was at one point, I had a ton of fighters, and then I got to the point where it was like, man, am I giving these guys the right direction? You know what I mean? Because there's a promotion company by me. It's called CFFC, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I had a kid. His name was Vic Pujani. This kid is unbelievable. He was, was wrestling Hofstra. He was undefeated as an amateur. The kid would be in the UFC right now. He was that good. I had a couple people like Caitlin Chukagan, and I took her from an amateur. There were people that I worked with from the beginning that I just spotted their talent. Knew they were so good. And then Vic, right before he was going to turn pro, got a job as a police officer. Well, he got his father was going to get him on. And he sat down and he talked to me. And now you have to realize this is a kid who I was training for free, who I was it was like my little brother, Right. And he came up and he talked to me, and I had to sit back and I had to go, Vic, take the fucking job, bro. You know what I mean? I'm like, you don't know where MMA is going to take you. You don't know what's going to happen. You need to have some job security. And sometimes I'm as a coach who wants to obviously, be in a corner of UFC fights and have people say you have a stable of fighters, I feel like I can't tell these guys anymore. I don't know. And it's been like that more lately just because, I've seen the ups and the downs of fighters, and I don't want to see people kind of fall into that. And I'm just like, listen, there's more to life than just fighting. You know what I mean? And fighting is going to be a small part of your life. The rest of your life is going to keep going on. And what are you going to do after that?
It's so hard, man. It's so hard. When I see, I'm such a softy now. When I see guys get knocked out, when I'm there for it, even when my guy knocked the other guy out fucking stiff as a board cold. I have a second of happiness that we won, and then I'm like, fuck, I'm like, God,
what's this guy going to do now? Right?
Yeah. Dude,
his dream just got crushed.
His life, come on, man, we've all been beat up, right? When you get fucked up, it's not like it goes away in a day.
See, but
Right.
here's the difference between like you and me, Eliot, is like you always had a plan. You know what I mean? Like you were fighting, you went far, you did really well. But when you knew it was all done, you knew what you were going to do. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like you had some sort of a plan. The thing that's scary is some of these guys have no plan. You know, and when I see a guy who's in his 30s still trying to get to the goddamn UFC, I'm like, bro, get a job. You know what I mean? Get a job. Get a job because the dollars aren't there. And going back to the CFFC thing, you know, I was talking to Arias, who's their matchmaker, you know, and we were talking about the kid Vic, and I told him to get a job. And Arias is like, well, why would you do that? He could, you know, make it in UFC. I go, Arias, let me ask you a question. You run the biggest promotion in the Northeast. How many of the guys in the last 5 years that have you come by who are financially stable right now from fighting? And he's like, wow. Exactly. You know, 1, 2, you know, and they're not, I mean, they have money in the bank, but they don't have, you know, they're still going to have to work afterwards.
Yeah. Look, man, there's like 5 people that don't have to work ever.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
Ever. George doesn't have to work. Anderson doesn't have to work. Connor doesn't have to work. I don't think Ronda made – I don't know, man. I think she made like she probably doesn't have to work. She probably made 20, 30 million.
Well, you know, she probably made her money off of the outside stuff.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. Like, you know, so she still kind of had to work. She was only getting paid $1 million a fight for like 5 fights. $5 million at 20 years old, not enough money.
Yeah, you're right. Right? Listen, I tell you what, I saw – and I hate like being on a podcast and like, you know, because I don't want this to get out there, but I'll say it because I care about the guy. You know, like when I saw Weidman get knocked out in his last fight, it hurt my soul.
It hurts. I don't even know the guy, and it hurts.
It hurt my soul, and I was just like, man. And you know, I think I'm not saying he doesn't have fight left in him. He probably does, but it just hurt my soul, and I'm just like, man, like what happens now? You know what I mean? And like these guys aren't getting paid enough to like be like, okay, you know, because like Weidman's not a guy who's out blowing his money. You know what I mean? But
no.
Like he's not like these idiot boxers who make $50 million and blow it in, you know, 5 years. You know, he's a family guy, and you know, and when I see these guys and I when they're done with their careers, I'm just like, please, 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 don't let this be the end. You know what I mean? Especially because I know some of them and they're such good guys, and I'm just like, I hope you guys like find your way somehow. You know what I mean?
It's so hard, man. You know, like the fight's off now, but like I have an up and coming killer, Corey Sandhagen.
Yeah.
You know, and he got matched with Frankie, and dude, like fuck, Frankie is such a like dude. I have never rooted against Frankie in my fucking life.
Yeah, it's the hard thing, right? Isn't that hard when you get to like your level right now? Where you have to.
Like they have to do it, right? They have to do it. And look, Frankie's on the downside, right? He's old. He's older. He's a fucking champ. Yeah. You know, he was the champ at lightweight when Corey hadn't even had a fucking fight yet. You know.
Yeah, exactly.
But now, like Corey's in the top 3 in the world. He's number 3 in the whole fucking world, right? Like, I'm just like thinking about it. I'm like, God, this is Renzo team. This is like, I fucking hate this. Like, I fucking
yeah.
Because you're like,
but now it's
off.
It's a business now, and you have to do it. You know?
You have to do it. You have to, right? Because, and like everyone understands, right? Like because Frankie almost fought Aljo, and that's Ricardo and Matt Serra, which is even closer.
Yeah, I mean, it's happened. I mean, it's happened. I mean, Aljo had to fight Marlon. You know what I mean?
Right.
And like there was a lot of like really close. I mean, Paul Felder fought Edson twice. The first time they fought, and then Felder was training with us a month later. You know what I mean?
GSP Matt.
Yeah, that was the weirdest. That was the first one that I saw that it like crossed the boundaries, and I was like, all right, where we go now? You know?
Yeah. But dude, you know, but then that's kind of a testament to Renzo, right? Again, like
Renzo's
made it right. He made it right.
Yeah.
Right? Because they both came to the city now. And look, John was GSP's trainer, and Matt and John are still friends, right?
But I think that fight he didn't corner. I don't think he coached in that fight. Yeah, But that's old school. Now guys don't give a shit. But they when the one thing though is like you have to remember though, Matt and George are 2 different kind of guys too. They're like, you know, they're not those kind of guys that they can get over that kind of stuff. They're good dudes, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you know, when you look at Matt Serra, good guy. You look at George St. Pierre, good guy. You know, that'll work its way out, you know.
For sure. No, for sure. And it's just a hard thing, right? And as we watch these champions age, you know, like you want the best for them too, right? You want the best. And that's why, like, getting back to your point, it's so hard. Like, God, I try to convince everyone. Everyone comes in and when they say they want to be a fighter, I'm like, please don't. And I'm kind of a dick at first about it. Like, I'm kind of mean to them because I want them to quit.
Yeah.
Right. I want them to quit. I don't want you to do this. I want you to do jiu-jitsu or do Muay Thai. That's amazing. That will change. That's like change your life shit. But the most likely MMA is going to take you down an awful fucking path.
And it's like a drug, bro. You're going to be chasing that freaking high, and you're going to be going down that wormhole. You're going to be, and then once that shit starts, you know how MMA is too. It's like once you have a couple losses and your mind starts playing games, bro, you're done. You're done. And that's when I pulled them. That's when I stopped fighting. I was like, man, I'm out here and I'm not working the way I was. And my mind wasn't. And I'm like, you know what? Before I get hurt, let me get the fuck out of this ring.
Yeah. It was one of the greatest things I ever did. I won't say that it wasn't, but like I got so lucky, man. Like I was looking at I thought Vera was my last fight. And I didn't get fucked up, right? I like the guy, I beat his fucking ass that fight. I don't know how anybody thought I lost that fight.
I don't remember you fought. I didn't remember that fight. You fought Brandon Vera.
I fought Brandon Vera. I fucking dropped him twice in a round and broke his arm. His arm fucking snapped in half, and somehow I lost the fight.
Really? I don't remember. I don't know why I don't remember that fight.
Yeah, 2011.
I feel like I would have had my eyes on that one.
Yeah, sure. We're both the same. We're the three of us, right? We were coming up at the same time.
I must have watched it. I'm old now.
Dude, it was a decade ago, bro. That's cool.
Oh my God, I'm getting old.
But anyway, right? Like that fight was on a Saturday. On a Tuesday, the next Tuesday, I looked at the building that our Denver school is in now. So like I had this like immediate transition. And I think where guys really get stuck is when they don't have that. They're like, well, what the fuck am I going to do now? And like, I know we love Weidman, right? He's fucking Renzo Gracie. Like he's probably there, right? Like he makes 250, 300 grand a fight, which in the fight game, that's good money, right? But like that's
in life, it isn't.
In life, it isn't, like, because that's going to come at some point. You're not going to make that anymore. And now what?
Well, he's got a gym, so right. I think he's got that long. He might be all right. He'll be all right,
It might not be, but guys like him, right? Yeah,
exactly. No, I hear what you're saying, and like going back to like that ending, stop fighting. I don't know how your transition happened. So the one thing that happened to me is I remember I was training people and fighting at the same time. And then all of a sudden something happened where I was like, man, I'm watching these people develop, and I'm really in their corner more than my own corner, and then that was an easier switch for me because, I was able to take some guys, I had some people I took from amateurs that are in the UFC now, you know what I mean? And that was like a pretty fulfilling thing,
You're still involved, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Involved, which is really nice, right?
Yeah, it's nice, but I'm a little bit less involved now, and sometimes that little ego thing goes, man, I want to be in the midst of it. But then the other thing too is like, I have freaking 400 other freaking students and people that I got to worry about. You know what I mean? Like they're more important to me right now.
Yeah. I only have a couple fighters personally, that I work with. I'm the head coach of this fight team out here. But that for me, that just means I deal with all the bullshit, right? Of like the media, the whatever it is, I handle all that. And like, I'm the one if there's a meeting, things like that. But I'm not the head coach of most of the guys. I only have 3 guys. I have 3 fighters.
Yeah. You can't have more than that. If you have more than that, you're just a disservice to them. You know what I mean? Like I work with Sajara right now, and that's it. And I'm more than happy working with her. She works for me. I train her, and I'm happy. I'm happy with that. We had a bunch of people in the beginning, and it was fulfilling and it was fun and all that other stuff. But what happens is when I was spending all that time working with those fighters, my students were feeling a certain way. You know what I mean? They're like, why are you traveling? You're doing this, you're doing that, but you're not here helping us, And after a while, and Ricardo was always saying, he's like, pull up, man, you could be helping your students, And he's right. Now I spend more time with my guys, it's fulfilling, you know?
For sure. What was that? What's that been like having a school, right? I mean, I know what it's like for me. What's it like on your end to go from, athlete your whole life in the corporate world, and now you have this school where you get to have a grand effect on people's lives. What's that like?
You know how it is. I mean, you've been in it. So, I remember Matt Serra going to me when I opened the school, my man, you're going to get ready for disappointment, and when you become the boss, you know what I mean? The guy that's supposed to be, and on top, you're going to see there's people think it's one way, but there's a lot of draining factors that happen in schools, disappointments, people leaving, people, you know what I mean? And, and that's the toughest thing, people not fulfilling their potential, people, I got kicked. I had a student that took my lease over and tried to throw me out of my gym last year. You know what I mean? And seeing stuff like that and the draining stuff of
hold on,
some disappointments.
He bought your building, is you're saying?
What happened was he opened a CrossFit gym in the building, and we had when he took the lease over, and then it just it just went people are trying to become opportunists, but it didn't work out for him. Some people sometimes forget that cleaning the mat, updating the building, people forget they still have to teach. You know what I mean? And if you can't teach, it doesn't matter. So, my guys all came with me, and it was a situation where I was in a facility that needed to be upgraded, and I didn't really know if I was going to stay there. And then the person came in, did upgrades, and then, he was most important, and then, trying to get me out. But I ended up moving somewhere else. All my guys followed, and now my team is bigger than it's ever been. So at the end of the day, it all happened for a reason. It worked out for a reason. But going through that process, it's stressful. You know what I mean? And I'm going to have more disappointments. And the thing this is what I get scared of is I remember being a kid and seeing an older coach, and the older coach just didn't seem like he gave a shit anymore. Right. You know what I mean? Where he was just like, oh yeah, he didn't make it, whatever, keep it moving. And I don't want to be that person. Right. But I do know, I kind of understand after you've been doing this for a little while why some people start putting they put a guard up into disappointment and not being happy with how things work out.
Yeah, no, I see it. It's not something I worry about anymore, I have to say. I guess. Yeah,
I've gotten over it. That was a big, but that's what I was saying. My point was I was saying that, learning how to get over that stuff and learning how to become a better leader is a process. You know what I mean? And I've become better at it. I've had to teach myself how to become better at it. And that learning experience is becoming valuable. You know what I mean?
Valuable. Yeah. I'm glad you're talking about it.
But you have to go through it to understand it. And it could break a lot of people, and it could make a lot of people. And then, and you have to, people are more resilient than they believe they are. You know what I mean? People have the ability to overcome obstacles that sometimes they never thought they can overcome, as long as they stay on the path. You know what I mean? And by staying on the path is trying to put themselves in positive situations. You know what I mean? Block that negativity and that bullshit out. If you hear negativity, I'm going fucking left. You know what I mean? I don't need to hear that shit. It's like, and listen, me and you we go through it all the time, you get into that lull. You know what I do? I put on an audio book. I start to learn. I start to listen. I reset my mind. You know what I mean? I start to listen to podcasts like what you have, and things about people doing positive things, you know what I mean? And it gets you back into that mindset, because you will go in and out of it. That's just the way it is in life,
People think that shit's going to end, and it doesn't.
You're always going to have to educate yourself.
You're always going to have to keep growing. Look, I have anxiety. I have really bad anxiety, and I know I used to want it to go away. And in the moment, I always want it to go away. If it's really bad or something, I'm like, God, fuck. But I know, once I say, God, I hope this goes away, I go, oh, no, hold on. I know it will go. Just sit in it. Just be in it. It will go. What do I do to get myself out? I learn, I read, I study. Just everything you just said. I listen to podcasts. I get positive people around me, and that's it.
Yeah, exactly. Bro, listen, I didn't know what the God. People used to talk about anxiety. I'm like, what the F is anxiety? Right. And then about 10 years ago, I was like, oh shit, I know what anxiety is now.
Yeah.
And then once you get it all the time.
Get it all the time.
I mean? And, bro, I get it on planes. It's the worst thing ever.
Yeah.
But I've had to learn how to deal with it. And anxiety can break you if you let it. but you can also take that anxiety and make it productive, and figure out a way to challenge yourself to grow. That anxiety means that you, at that point in your life, that means that you need to do something else to get yourself out of that place. It's almost like the anxiety for me becomes a reminder that I need to go and do something different to get better. You know what I mean? If I'm not getting anxiety, it means I'm not doing shit,
And then it's going to come really bad.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Because I'm not paying attention to it. And two, I'm like sitting on the fucking couch or whatever it is I'm doing. It is not good for a human soul,
No, I agree. 100%.
Fuck, man. It's interesting to hear. Like, I think more conversation, like what you were just saying, like you didn't know it. You didn't even know it. Now you have it, and you're like, dude, you're an athlete of all athletes. And you've been super successful in your whole life. But yeah, we all can suffer, big, strong, fucking, and it doesn't mean you have to. Go ahead.
Yeah, and a lot of it is a willingness to understand it. You have it. You know what I mean? You fight. You can say, "Oh, what is this? It's nothing. I'm fighting it. It's not a big deal. Like whatever." And ignore it. And that's what crushes people. When you ignore it, is when it crushes you. And you have to accept it and just realize you need to freaking make some changes. To get things going.
Fuck yeah, man! It's the in is the only way out.
Yep, 100%.
In is the only way out with everything.
And that was one of the reasons I want, when I messaged you, I'm like, let me hit up Eliot. I want to get in this podcast because, I noticed you're always spitting a lot of positive stuff out there. And like, now that I'm a leader and I own a gym, everything is trying to stay positive and learn and move and teach people how to improve their lives. And I'm like, Eliot's talking a lot of good stuff. I'd love to get on and just, shoot a rug with you and talk to you about like what's going on with you, what's going on with me, and how I can maybe say something that helps somebody, get out of that little funk and keep doing better and working to get out of like whatever situation there is, because there's always something better out there. You know what I mean? There's always something good out there, and it's all it takes is you just working hard to make those changes.
And it just takes this, man, like two guys sitting down having a conversation. Or two girls, or a girl and a guy. I'm not saying the sex is here, right? We need to talk to each other. We need more interaction with each other, where he's like, oh damn, where like you get it, like, oh damn, yeah, man, me too. Like I'm like this too, and that is it will show us how similar we all are, rather than have like the rest of the world screaming at us how different we are, and that just divides us, and it's going to build on our anxieties and our depressions and our separations and all of this. We're the same, every single one of us, whether you voted for Hillary or you voted for Trump. I don't give a flying fuck. We're the same. We want the same things in our lives.
I agree 100%. It's funny. It's like, we're all like different packages, but at the end of the day, people are very similar, and they might have different. They might have different concerns, but everyone has concerns.
Everyone has concerns, and we want to love our family. We want to feel safe, and we want to have friends. And we want,
of course.
When I say safe, like you want to feel like you can eat tomorrow. You have a house over your head. Like this is everyone. These are all of our concerns. So can we just start there, right? Let's start there with everyone. And now, how do we do that the best? In my opinion, we do that the best on the jiu-jitsu mat. So.
The jiu-jitsu mat is the most purest way to get out energy, stress, and you can't. The mats don't lie.
They never lie, and they build the brotherhood, man.
Absolutely, 100%.
They build a brotherhood. Like once you go to war with people, right? Like once you go through that 2005 ADCC camp with people, like you're just that. All right, we're just in, right? We're just in forever, and everyone can have that. It's not like I'm sure the dudes that were sitting on the sidelines watching us train, right? Like they feel some connection to that, right? Because like the up and comers who weren't ready to be part of it yet, they feel some connection.
Well, look at us 14 years later, still talking about it. You know what I mean? Like how did that camp, bonded us in blood. You know what I mean? Like the rough times, the point where I looked at you and I'd be like, I want to fucking kill this fucking guy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or Hydra has my shoulder dislocated. But guess what? At the end of the day, you love each other. And like, I always say this. So I have a couple friends that are, they're running kind of the same circles, but they were guys that were boxers. They were my boxing training partners when I was training. And whenever anyone sees them, and they're like, "Oh, do you know Jamal?" The first thing they'll be is like, "Yeah, tell Jamal I used to whoop his fucking ass when we trained." Right now, listen. Now, if someone else said that, you'd be like, "Who?" And then when you realize it's like that person, you just look and you laugh and you go, "That motherfucker." Right. You know what I mean? Where it's like once you like if I said that about you, like, "Oh, I used to whoop Eliot's ass," it wouldn't been it would come from a place of this fucking guy. You know, it's like
it comes from a place of love.
Like yeah, exactly. And only in this kind of sport can you do that. Like, what other sport do you try to choke somebody and then afterwards you fucking clap their hand and fist bump them? You know,
because you have to like it's such a dichotomy, right? You're trying to kill me, but you're trying to do it with love. You have to do it while taking care of me. It's right.
Of course.
When you have that yin and the yang going on, it's both things going on at the same time. You're not really going to try to kill me, but you are really going to try to kill me. But you're going to take care of me, but oh shit, you're trying to kill me. So when both things are going on, you have to find some middle ground in there. And there's no place better that does this than jiu-jitsu.
And then at the end of the day, you have to remember, like, you know, we're just trying to get each other better. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, I'm like me trying to choke you, or you trying to like get out on me and beat me. It's at the end of the day, we're making each other better. And like, no, you don't cheer for anyone more than you cheer for your training partner.
No way. I agree.
So, and I remember that year in Abu Dhabi, me and Hadra are on the same side of the goddamn bracket. I do remember that. And I was like, I'm like, fuck, I do not want to, like, because I did not want to go against Hodger and everything. And I was like, just because he's a Gracie. And it's like, and I was like, I just did, he's my friend. And I was like, and then I ended up going to like 5 overtimes with Shanji. Right. Got beat, but
he, now with ADCC, it's the second round. You go with, you get one match free, like not against your teammate, but if there's two teammates in the same bracket, it's the second round, like in the absolute, Gary and Gordon had to fight each other in the second round.
Yeah, that's crazy. Gary was Gordon's instructor.
Teacher. Yeah. So
that's crazy.
Cool, man. All right, man. I appreciate you coming on. Thanks for hitting me up, man. Like I always like talking to my homies from the old school days. So I really appreciate you hitting me up and doing this together.
All right, brother, man. You're doing a good job. That's what I want to get on, man. I was like, listening and following your stuff, and I think you're doing an awesome job. You're sending a great message out there, and keep plugging away, brother.
Man, like it's about consistency and about like changing people's lives, and you're doing the same thing, right? Like with your school and all the things that you're doing with your world too. So, man, fuck, I appreciate it. This is gonna come out next Monday, so not 2 days, but the following. I'll send you the links and all that stuff.
All right, let me know. All right, brother, take care.
I appreciate it, man. Have a great day, Jamal. Yep.
You too, man.
All right, guys, go out there, find your power.